Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the informational webinar for the Department of Energy's Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations, Clean Energy Demonstration Program on Current and Former Mine Land, or CEML, Applicant Information Webinar. My name is Katrina Pielli, the Director of the Engagement Office for OSED, and I'll be kicking us off today. This webinar focuses on the concept paper, Encourage Discourage Decisions for the CEML program, which were issued on Tuesday, June 27th. First, a few housekeeping items. So this webinar is being recorded, and a copy of both the recording and today's presentation will be posted on the OSED CEML webpage in the coming weeks. All of our participants are in listen-only mode. To turn on live captions, please click on the closed captions button indicated on your control panel. Note that we are not taking live questions and feedback today. However, we do suggest that you submit any questions that you might have to the CEML Funding Opportunity Announcement, or FOA, email address. That email is minelandfoa, F-O-A, @hq.doe.gov. Next slide. And just before we dive in, the purpose of today's webinar is to share common issues that we observed in the concept papers submitted for the CEML program, as highlight additional resources and technical assistance opportunities that we think might be of interest to you. Please note that we are only sharing publicly available information today on the webinar, and the purpose is for informational purpose only. We're not seeking comments on the information, and please just remember the FOA applications are due on Thursday, August 31st. Very important deadline. Finally, note that attending or watching this recording is voluntary and will not impact your application. There's no advantages or disadvantages. And finally, just note that this is a webinar. It's not a rule or regulation. So if by chance there are any inconsistencies between what we share today and the FOA is the controlling document and the appropriate reference. Next slide, please. And so now I'm pleased to introduce the Acting Director of the Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations, Ms. Kelly Cummins, to offer some welcome remarks. So Kelly, over to you.
Thank you, Katrina. It's great to be here today. And thank you for everyone who is participating in the call today and for your interest in the Clean Energy Demonstration on Mine Lands program. I want to particularly thank all those who took the time to submit concept papers for the Clean Energy Demonstrations on Mine Lands program funding opportunity announcement that we issued in April of 2023. OSED reviewed 98 concept papers submitted for this funding opportunity announcement from 29 states across the country. The number and the diversity of locations truly exceeded our team's expectations and shows an incredible amount of interest and excitement for this program and for OSED's mission. Approximately 17,750 mine land sites are located across 1.5 million acres of land in the United States, which expose local populations to harmful pollutants and contaminate the air, land, and water quality in the surrounding areas. We're really excited that these concept papers discuss promising solutions for replicable pathways to resolve key barriers to clean energy development on mine land. To achieve near net zero mining operations, concept papers demonstrated the preservation of natural and agricultural resources by using mine land for clean energy projects and integrating community benefits. With only $500 million available for this specific funding opportunity, competition was fierce among applicants. OSED ultimately encouraged 23 concept papers to submit full applications based on the proposed project's ability to demonstrate and deploy clean energy projects on America's mine land and to unlock new opportunities for energy communities. OSED expects to award up to 5 projects between $10 to $150 million each. Some groups here today may not have been encouraged to submit full applications, most notably due to the capital needed to meet the requirements of this cooperative agreement. To those groups who were not encouraged to submit an application for this funding opportunity announcement, we encourage you to stay connected with us, stay connected to OSED channels to learn more about future funding opportunities. Our hope for this program is to establish pathways for how mine land can be successfully leveraged for clean energy, paving the way for broad replication of these projects across the nation. Thank you again for your work to submit strong concept papers. We look forward to receiving your full applications on August 31st, 2023. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kelly. We are thrilled that you could be here and you could share your thoughts on both the importance of the CEML program and also your gratitude to those who submitted the concept papers. As you noted, we are very aware of the effort that it takes to submit a concept paper, and we do appreciate all of the time spent on those. The next slide. Shifting gears just a bit, as some of you might know, OSED was established in December 2021. And so we wanted to spend just a quick moment to orient you about the office and before we dive into the specifics of the program. So the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law did create OSED, and our mission is to deliver clean energy demonstration projects at scale in partnership with the private sector to accelerate deployment, market adoption, and the equitable transition to a decarbonized energy system. And as you just heard, the equitable transition is part and parcel of our mission. And so this does mean that we look to invest in clean energy projects that support quality job creation, that advance environmental justice, and facilitate an inclusive energy transition in all communities, ensuring that benefits flow. Next slide, please. So a key program to accomplish the administration's decarbonization goals is the Clean Energy Demonstrations Program on Mine Lands, or CEML. What you see here is the full scope of the more than $25 billion that OSED has been entrusted for demonstration projects. The $500 million from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law was allocated to the CEML program, as you see on the right. Next slide, please. So now to dive into our specific funding opportunity announcement and concept papers, I'm pleased to introduce you to Heidi Miller, OSED CEML's program manager. Heidi, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Katrina. Appreciate it. It's great to be here today, and I want to personally thank all of you for taking the time to join us. I really do appreciate it. Next slide, please. I'd like to start with just giving you an overview of our program. The Clean Energy Demonstration Program on current and former mine land, also known as CEML, will demonstrate the technical and economic viability of carrying out clean energy projects on current and former mine land. We had $500 million appropriated to the program through 2026 to fund up to 5 clean energy projects, of which 2 have to be solar. These projects will have an emphasis on economic development and environmental justice lasting beyond the years of the chosen project and creating geographically diverse opportunities. Next slide. Next slide. Our program aims to fund projects that demonstrate replicable pathways that resolve key barriers to clean energy development on mine land. It has the preservation of natural and agricultural resources through repurposing mine land for clean energy projects and community benefits tailored through substantial engagement with local and regional stakeholders, labor unions, and tribal entities across the project lifecycle, supporting environmental justice, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, and the economic opportunities for communities. Next slide. I'd like to go through some of our award information to give you some of this you've already heard, but just to reiterate, for this funding opportunity, there are up to $450 million for up to 5 projects. The award size will be at least 10 million, but no more than 150 million in federal funds. Applicants are bound by the cost share proposed in their applications if selected for award negotiations. DOE is requiring that the non-federal cost share be at least 50% of the total project costs for the demonstration projects. The anticipated maximum project period is 7 years, and the scope of the proposed project would determine that specific project period. The applicant will establish 4 phases for the proposed project. DOE will initially fund phase 1. Each subsequent phase is dependent on a go, no-go determination by OSED based on the recipient's performance. It is really important to note that all applicants must provide documentation that demonstrate the proposed project is eligible to participate and is also on eligible mine land under our program. Next slide. Now, this slide has the summary of the concept paper review criteria as stated in the FOA. Just a reminder, the concept papers were evaluated on the overall FOA responsiveness and viability of the project. Items considered included the key technologies and systems, which would facilitate a transition to a clean energy system in the United States. The preliminary project development plan and timeline, qualifications, experience, capabilities for the project, community benefits plan, including meaningful community and labor engagement, quality jobs and workforce development, the Justice 40 initiative, and diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. It had to meet the objectives of the FOA, including the technical objectives. The proposed technologies are at a TRL of 7 or higher, a short project timeframe, obtained or identified a pathway of obtaining an off-taker and interconnection, and a high-level overview of the financial viable business model. Next slide. I wanted to share an overview of our concept paper results. First, as Kelly had said, the quantity and geographic diversity exceeded our team's expectations and shows the incredible amount of interest and excitement for this program and our mission. DOE did receive 98 concept papers that we reviewed across 28 states, and we encouraged 23 to submit a full application. In total, $9.3 billion in DOE funds were requested, with the applicant's proposed cost share of $27.6 billion for total project cost of $36.9 billion. It is important to note that DOE will only select up to 5 applications to enter award negotiations. And I know I keep reiterating that, but it is important. We are limited by legislation to only up to 5 projects. With that, I will now pass it over to Joe Olariz, one of our project managers, to review the general concept paper themes. Thanks.
Thank you, Heidi, and to everyone attending today. Now on to the feedback we provided to those who submitted concept papers. Next slide, please. The full application is an opportunity to expand on the technical, commercial, financial, management, and community benefit details of the ideas submitted in a concept paper. DOE identified the following themes and common points of feedback for applicants to keep in mind when developing full applications. It's our goal to support you all as much as possible within our legal framework to developing the best applications possible, and applicants may wish to keep in mind any and all of the following themes. Next slide, please. Today, we will cover 9 major themes that led to encouraged concept papers. Number 1, mine land eligibility. DOE reminds applicants that the project must be substantially located on eligible mine land in accordance with the mine land definition. The term mine land means land subject to Titles 4 and 5 of the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act of 1977, also known as SMCRA. Applicants to the FOA claiming eligibility through SMCRA must show that the current or former mine is subject to either Title 4 or 5 of SMCRA. For Title 4, this means demonstrating that the application site is on the Title 4 database maintained by the Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement. And for Title 5, that means providing copies of a Title 5 permit from the applicable permitting authority. The term mine land also means land that has been claimed or patented subject to sections 2319 through 2344 of the revised statutes, Mining Law of 1872. Applicants to the FOA claiming eligibility through the Mining Law of 1872 must show that the current or former mine land originated from a claim or patent under the Mining Law of 1872. An application based upon a patented claim should provide a title search tying the site to a patented claim under the Mining Law of 1872. Unpatented claims should produce claims filed with the appropriate body having authority to receive claims, including the Bureau of Land Management and county records. For more details, see Section 4.0 eligibility information. Applicants must provide documentation that proves the proposed project is eligible to participate and is on eligible mine land under this program. Next slide, please. In preparation for the next phase and to aid in your decision on whether or not to submit a full application, please refer to the following examples of what is meant by the phrase substantially on mine land to determine the eligibility of a project, referencing Section 4 of the FOA. Example 1, the infrastructure, including all system components that produces the majority, greater than 50%, of the energy output from the proposed clean energy project is located on eligible mine land. For example 2, the majority of the infrastructure, including all system components, greater than 50%, is physically located on eligible mine land. Or example number 3, the critical element of the project producing the energy is located completely on eligible mine land. All interested applicants should review their applications prior to submittal to ensure that the project is sited substantially on eligible mine land. Applicants may revise their project plan from the concept paper stage to the full application to meet this eligibility requirement. DOE will not make an award to applicants' projects not substantially on mine land. Next slide, please. Number 2, clean energy project eligibility. DOE reminds applicants that the proposed project must be in accordance with the clean energy project definition as mentioned in Bipartisan Infrastructure Law Section 40342. The term clean energy project means a project that demonstrates one or more of the following technologies: solar, microgrids, geothermal, direct air capture, fossil fuel electricity generation with carbon capture, utilization and sequestration, energy storage, including pumped storage, hydropower, and compressed air storage, or advanced nuclear technologies. All projects, this includes project systems and all system components, must be at a technology readiness level 7 or higher. For more information, see FOA Section 4.0 eligibility information. Number 3, project scope and development plan. Applicants should ensure the proposed project scope aligns with the FOA objectives. Strong applications clearly describe the scope and the demonstration project, specifically technology systems to be developed and replicability. Applicants should also provide a clear development plan timeline with all requested elements, including sufficient details on how critical path and non-critical path tasks will be completed. For more information, detail see FOA Section 5.6.2.2. Next slide, please. Number 4, management and organization. Applicants are required to list senior and key personnel and their organizations, and if applicable, subrecipients, key technology providers, and project partners. Applicants should also explain how those individuals and organizations will contribute to the successful execution of the project. Applicants are also required to include descriptions of senior and key personnel's experience that will contribute to the successful execution of the proposed project. See FOA Section 5.6.2.2 for more detail regarding required management and organization information submission requirements. Number 5, shortest time to completion. Applicants are encouraged to provide a realistic estimated project schedule, including obtaining the necessary permits, obtaining interconnection agreements or plans to obtain interconnection agreements in a timely manner, establishing the preliminary design and plans, conducting site work and construction leading to commercial operation within the FOA's anticipated period of performance. See FOA Section 5.6.2.2 for more information. Next slide, please. Number 6, financial plan. Applicants should provide a financial plan that suggests financial viability of the project and financial strength of the applicant, including financial sources to support the overall project to be completed. Applicants should provide sufficient information on how the project will achieve long-term technical and economic viability and obtain follow-on funding from the private sector. Number 7, project risk mitigation. The applicants are encouraged to identify project risks, challenges, and corresponding mitigation strategies for each applicable phase of the project. These include technological challenges, difficult site conditions, and environmental liabilities associated with potential site contamination. See FOA Sections 5.6.2.2 and 6.2.2 for more information. Number 8, project size. Applicants are encouraged to provide utility scale projects that will demonstrate technical and economic viability with a reasonable expectation of commercial viability with replicable business models for future projects on current and former mine land. Next slide, please. Number 9, community benefits plan. Applicants should describe strategies and methods of accountability to ensure the following: meaningful two-way community and labor engagement, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, quality jobs and workforce development, and furthering the Justice 40 initiative. Sufficient details should be provided on how the proposed project will provide economic benefits and engage the community, including potential ownership and job creation potential. See FOA sections 5.6.2.3 and 5.6.2.4 for more information. By prioritizing community benefits, we can ensure the next chapter in America's energy story is marked by greater justice, equity, security, and resilience. The Inflation Reduction Act supports this goal by giving priority to projects that provide the greatest benefit to the greatest number of people in nearby communities. Next slide, please. Now we'll review the themes that led to a discouraged concept paper. Next slide, please. Below are the 5 major themes for discouraged concept papers. If you choose to continue and submit a full application despite this discouraged notification, please be aware of the following common themes and points of feedback. Firstly, mine land eligibility. The proposal, even if expanded to a full application, is unlikely to establish the project site is substantially on eligible mine land under the definition presented in the FOA section 4.0. In accordance with Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, section 40342, eligible mine land is defined as land subject to Titles 4 and 5 of the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act of 1977, or land has been claimed or patented subject to sections 2319 through 2344 of the revised statutes commonly known as the Mining Law of 1872. Modifying a project to be substantially on the eligible mine land is necessary to meet the FOA eligibility criteria. Next, clean energy project eligibility. The proposed project does not or is unlikely to meet the clean energy project definition as presented in FOA section 4.0 in accordance with the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law section 40342. The term clean energy project means a project that demonstrates one or more of the following technologies: solar, microgrids, geothermal, direct air capture, fossil fuel electricity generation with carbon capture, utilization and sequestration, energy storage, including pumped storage, hydropower, and compressed air storage, or advanced nuclear technologies. All projects, this includes project systems and all system components, must be at a technology readiness level of 7 or higher. For more details, see FOA section 4.0 eligibility information. Next, FOA responsiveness and viability of project. The proposal, even if expanded to a full application, is unlikely to, 1, produce a financial plan and/or development plan, including any key risks and challenges and/or mitigation strategy to successfully develop a clean energy project on a current or former mine land. 2, meet FOA objectives and attract follow-on investments from the private sector. 3, be financially viable. Or 4, demonstrate a pathway to obtaining an interconnection or off-taker agreement. Next, shortest time to completion. The proposal, even if expanded to a full application, is unlikely to have a timeline and realistic schedule which aligns with each DOE phase described in FOA section 2.4. Applicants need to have a project that allows for the shortest time frame while obtaining the necessary permits, obtaining interconnection agreements, or developing plans to obtain interconnection agreements in a timely manner, establishing the preliminary design plans, conducting site work, and constructing the plant that leads to commercial operation within the FOA's anticipated period of performance. See FOA section 5.6.2.2 for more information. Next, community benefits. The proposal, even if expanded to a full application, is unlikely to adequately capture strategies and methods of accountability to ensure meaningful two-way community and labor engagement with potential financial benefit to the neighboring community, including potential community ownership, quality jobs and workforce development, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility benefits to the surrounding community, and or the Justice 40 initiative. Now I'll pass it back to Heidi to go over the next steps in the application process.
It looks like Heidi might be having some technical difficulties, so I'll go ahead and come in here. So really just wanted to take a moment to remind applicants that an encouraged notification does not mean that an entity will be selected if it submits a full application, but that the concept paper is on the right path towards submitting a full application. DOE does expect significant competition among applicants. As you heard earlier, we were significantly oversubscribed for concept papers. And so even if only the encouraged applicants submit full applications, it still will be competitive. Full applications will be assessed as specified in the technical review criteria and the program policy factors of the FOA. Similarly, receiving a discouraged notification to the concept paper does not prohibit applicants from submitting that full application. However, by discouraging that submission, DOE does intend to convey its lack of interest in the proposed project for funding under this FOA, specifically to try and save applicants the considerable time and expense of preparing a full application that is unlikely to be selected for award negotiations. And for more information on that, we invite you to see section 7.1.2 of the FOA. And just as a final reminder, DOE is only able to select up to 5 project applications. Next slide, please. So in terms of the next steps, again, only applicants who did submit the eligible concept paper are eligible to submit that full application. Applicants that were both encouraged and discouraged may submit that full application. The proposed project, again, must be substantially on the eligible mine land necessary to meet that FOA eligibility criteria. And applicants must provide documentation that proves that the proposed project is substantially eligible to participate and is on eligible mine land under this program. As part of the submission guidance, please be sure to include all application requirements that need to be submitted to OSET Exchange by no later than 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the submission deadline date, which again is August 31st. Applicants should ensure that their SAM.gov registration is active and obtain a valid UEI number. And again, final reminder, full application submission deadline, August 31st at 5 p.m. I did see Heidi come back on camera, so I'll pause and see if she wants to jump back in.
Sure, thank you. Sorry, I lost my connection. So with that, thank you very much for stepping in. I appreciate it. I'd like to go ahead and go over the technical assistance that we have offered. So as a resource, we'd like to share the Clean Energy on Mineland Technical Assistance Program provided by the National Renewable Energy Lab. This is a no-cost technical assistance program to inform decision-making on topics related to developing clean energy projects on mineland. Some items of support include high-level technology or pre-feasibility assessments, high-level site readiness considerations, navigating project execution, navigating the permitting and interconnection process, community engagement, capacity building strategies to support community-led projects, or identifying opportunities for workforce and economic development. Next slide. Some additional opportunities that we want to make sure that you're aware of. The first one is environmental justice, thriving communities, technical assistance centers, also known as TICTACs. OSET has partnered with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to provide technical assistance via 17 centers across the nation. This regional technical assistance will help communities identify opportunities for financing various project management areas. The TICTACs provide training and other assistance to build capacity for navigating federal application systems, writing strong proposals, and effectively managing federal funding. In addition, TICTACs can offer services on community engagement, meeting facilitation, and translation and interpretation services. By Q3 2023, this regional technical assistance will be available. We also have the Rural Partners Network. So interested applicants should also consider other federal funding opportunities for clean energy demonstrations, including support through the Rural Partners Network led by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. DOE has the Technology Commercialization Fund. For additional information on commercialization efforts, applicants may wish to consider DOE's Technology Commercialization Fund. This fund is administered by the Office of Technology Transitions on behalf of the entire agency and will include OSID-related programs. In the past, commercialization programs launched by DOE have included voucher opportunities, prizes, work with national laboratories, and more. There is the 48C tax credit program. This program may be suitable for projects that are at the upper technology readiness level bound for this funding opportunity, so TRL 9+. Incorporate commercial off-the-shelf technologies and/or have a notable emissions reduction potential, yet do not meet the objectives of this FOA. The 48C tax credit is administered by DOE's Office of Manufacturing and Energy Supply Chains. The last one, as noted on this slide, is the Department of Interior Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement, Abandoned Mine Land Economic Revitalization, also known as AMLR. The AMLR program has made $135 million of funding available for grants to states and federally recognized Indian tribes with approved reclamation plans under Section 405 of the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act of 1977 to accelerate the remediation of abandoned mine land sites with economic and community development end uses. Next slide. Some additional opportunities include the IWG funding opportunities. IWG is the Interagency Working Group on Coal and Power Plant Communities and Economic Revitalization, also known as IWG. And they have several opportunities made available from the investments from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act to provide a once-in-a-generation opportunity to transform energy communities and create boundless opportunities to redevelop and revitalize. There is the Advanced Energy Manufacturing and Recycling Grant Program. If you received a discouragement notification and do not intend to submit a full application, please note that DOE has a program designed to provide grants to small and medium-sized manufacturers to enable them to build new or retrofit existing manufacturing and industrial facilities to produce or recycle advanced energy projects in communities where coal mines or coal power plants have closed. DOE has the Loan Program Office, also known as the LPO. LPO provides, as a bridge to bankability for innovative and high impact energy technologies, access to the needed loans and loan guarantees. Other offices within DOE to consider that may have related funding opportunities that you may be interested in include the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, also known as EERE. We have the Fossil Energy and Carbon Management, FECM, Manufacturing and Energy Supply Chains, MESC, and then Nuclear Energy, NE. There are other support organizations available, and one that I wanted to mention is the Just Transition Fund. The Just Transition Fund provides grants, technical assistance, and additional resources for community-based organizations that have been hardest hit by coal's decline. Next slide. Finally, I'd like to share an important caveat as to how DOE personnel can engage with you around this FOA. DOE personnel are prohibited from communicating, in writing or otherwise, with applicants regarding the FOA except through the established question and answer process. Specifically, questions regarding this FOA must be submitted to the Mineland FOA mailbox. That's Mineland FOA, FOA, at hq.doe.gov mailbox. Questions must be submitted no later than 3 business days prior to the application due date and time. Please note that feedback on individual concepts will not be provided through the Q&A process. All questions and answers related to this FOA will be posted on OSID Exchange. When you need to go into OSID Exchange and want to visit that, please select the specific FOA number to view the questions and answers specific to this FOA. OSID will attempt to respond to questions within 3 business days unless a similar question and answer has already been posted on the website. Now, if you have questions related to the registration process or the use of OSID Exchange website, those questions should be submitted to OSID-Exchange support@hq.doe.gov. When you reach out to them, please include the FOA name and number in the subject line. Please also refer to the FOA for a definition of used terms, additional information related to the requirements, and any additional post-application submission information. And with that, I'd like to turn it back to Katrina to close out. And I really appreciate you guys coming today. Thank you and have a great day.
Great. Thank you so much, Heidi. And thank you to all of our speakers. On behalf of the CEML team, we thank all of you, the attendees, for listening to this webinar. As a reminder, the FOA does remain a controlling document, and so if any information was presented differently today, the FOA is the document that applicants should refer to. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we will be posting this webinar on the OSID website in the next couple of weeks. And finally, just a quick note on engagement during this time to really underline what Heidi mentioned. For purposes of fairness, we are unfortunately unable to discuss or provide feedback on individual projects. We deeply appreciate your time, your commitment, and your interest in this opportunity. And one more time, the submission deadline for full applications is August 31st at 5 p.m. Eastern. We do encourage all applicants to submit their applications well before that deadline, just to be safe. So again, thank you so much for attending. We appreciate your time and have a great day. Thank you.